Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. So many of you text me about this guest, Gloria Joyner, super achiever, serial dater. Got enough text messages and private messages for me to go, this is a topic people want to hear. So I'm very excited to have Gloria on the show. We're going to be talking all about achievement, dating, what's going on, her book. She's got great insight and, believe it or not, great lighting. You look great, Gloria. Welcome
Thank you.
to the show.
Thank you, Ted. Welcome.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. Your energy is awesome. Your bio is what really generated a ton of buzz to me. So let's take a deep dive. Before we get into super achiever, serial dater, let's get into some origin stories so we can find out how you got on this journey and where you're at. So tell us a little 411 on you.
Well, I am a native Floridian, which is rare. Born and raised here. I attended my undergraduate in Tallahassee. I'm a Rattler, Florida A&M strike. Yes, and I did start off in entertainment industry in elementary school as an actress in plays. I was in band. I'm a classically trained musician. I was a music major at USF. And then
you were a music major?
Yes.
So tell me, is it music instruments, vocal performance? What kind of music?
I was a clarinetist. So my instructor was in the Florida Orchestra, and I was contemplating that path because I had a natural gift, but I changed my mind.
What derailed that, especially since I know anytime somebody commits themselves to something like an instrument or a sport, there's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of traveling and practice and games and performances. What set you on a different course?
I wanted more of the limelight, if I must be honest. And when you're in a band or an orchestra, an orchestral setting, even though you may be a section leader, even though you may have a solo, you're still a part of a band.
That is one of the most pure, wonderful answers I've ever heard. You had a message. You had something you wanted to say, do, or perform, and you couldn't do it within the constraints of the band.
Yes, and I wasn't ready to be in the Marching 100 when I transferred to FAMU because I would have had to be in the Marching 100. So I switched to business as my major, they offered me I wanted to be a marketing major. So I did become a marketing major at USF and before I transferred, and then I was offered a scholarship because of my grades for an agricultural business degree. So my bachelor's degree is in agribusiness, which is a very rare major, very rare.
No, that is, what did you want to do with ag business?
Honestly, I wanted to be the woman who rivals Steven Spielberg, Jay-Z, Russell Simmons. So it didn't matter that there was the ag in front of it. I just had to take a botany class and an agricultural co-op class. So I've always been in musical bands as well, singing backup, singing lead. And of course, I've done some extra work in film. I do have a talent agent, Azure Talent, here in Orlando. So I am represented by a talent agent. I've been doing a lot of entertainment, but because I don't get paid enough to do it full time, I actually have an M.B.A.
Oh my God, we are really talking about the super achiever now. I've lost count on how many things you've done and mastered.
And I have my music on Reverb Nation. My stage name is Red G. So I used to perform and promote my shows locally. I used to produce and direct my own shows. I've taken a sabbatical and focused more on the writing side of it to express the things inside of me. Because sometimes a song is a short 3 minutes. It's not enough paper. There's not enough wax to express everything you're feeling. This isn't the 70s where you can have a 12-minute song anymore.
You can't do that anymore.
No, so I said, why not the book?
All right, so we have to talk about the book. Okay, so you've covered 700 careers and directions. Since then, hence super achiever. I think a lot of us do dabble in things, but we don't consider ourselves super achiever. Sometimes we get labeled as not focused. And I think that that's a wrong label to put on people, because you can be a super achiever, a serial entrepreneur, not serial dater. We'll talk about that in a minute. And you can have your hands in a million different things. That doesn't mean that you're not successful.
No, it doesn't. I hate the saying, the master of none, the jack of all trades.
Me too.
A lot of people, I consider myself a Renaissance woman. A lot of people in entertainment come in under one talent. For example, Jamie Foxx came in as a comedian,
Right.
but he really wanted to sing. Queen Latifah came in as a rapper, and then she became an actress. So in entertainment, it's accepted. That's how you become an EGOT, because you have multiple talents. But in the regular world, outside of the entertainment industry, it's sometimes frowned upon if you don't have a 30-year career in one field or one area, especially if you're interviewing positions. Sometimes, unfortunately, recruiters don't understand why you move around a lot. They think that that bodes negatively on you, when it's actually because you're so talented and you're so gifted that sometimes you're too big for where you are. And so you try to find where you quite fit, and you really don't fit a lot of places.
I love that. I love that little tidbit, because I think a lot of people do. If I see someone who's jumped from place to place, job to job, I think the initial gut reaction is, oh God, that person can't hold a job down, or they're a problem where they're at. And I find that to not be the case very often. It's more about what you said. You outgrow it, and then they don't know how to grow with you. And you realize that your voice and what your passions are and what your purpose is not to be there.
Especially when you're an artist. And then unfortunately, we are in the deep South, and I am a Black woman who has a natural hairstyle. So a lot of times I don't fit in corporate environments a lot of times, because I am my authentic self. I do not change my voice or my personality to make my white counterparts feel comfortable. I still maintain who I am. And a lot of times they don't want to conform and understand that, hey, America's a diverse place, and it makes the work environment more exciting when we don't just have vanilla, but we have chocolate, caramel, butterscotch, we have red hots. That's what makes it more exciting. But some people are so uncomfortable with diversity. So it does make it difficult as a Black woman in the South. If I lived in Detroit, New York, LA, I'd be making $250, $350 a year with my credentials and my background. But I choose to stay here because that's where the beaches are.
That's where the beaches are. No, I'm glad you brought that up. I think people, diversity is a buzzword that is thrown around a lot right now. And I think a lot of people throw it around and they don't understand it, or they don't see a face with it. But the way you described it is absolutely, first of all, crazy to me that you're still dealing with that. And we still have to refer to things as the deep South. And unfortunately, all of us knew exactly what you were talking about when you said that, which makes me crazy, but that's for another show. But thank you for sharing that, because I think it's really important for people to understand the personal impact. And that is a big deal, what you just described, and it shouldn't be. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, it also impacts you in dating as well, because if you don't fit in the corporate environment because you're such a unique, powerful presence, then when you're out here dating, you're not regular. You're not a regular lady.
I have not been in the dating world in 30 plus years, but my friends have. That is a whole crazy, crazy world. All right. So before we get to serial dater, we have to, you only brought the book up really briefly. So let's talk about your book a little bit. There it is.
Serial dater.
So what was it like? We're going to talk about the whole topic of serial dater. And guys, if you haven't been paying attention and just didn't listen to the 75 things that Gloria just listed out that she's done, we've talked a little bit about the super achiever part. Now let's talk about the serial dater part. Do tell, because I had to read, I told you before we went live, I had to read through it a couple times. I'm like, this topic's awesome. But yes. I think a lot of people don't talk about it. So give us a little 411 on that. I know that they read the bio and they kind of saw your progression there, but tell us in your words, really, what led you to even taking on that label, quote unquote, as serial dater.
Well, to be honest, I was separated from my ex-husband in 1999, last century, and we got divorced in 2001. So I've been legally divorced and a super achiever serial dater in for 20 years. This last month was my 20-year divorce anniversary. And it is,
Congratulations.
yes, because I'm free. I don't have stress, but I have a different stress because whether you're in a marriage or you're single, there are different types of stresses. The reason you become, in my opinion, a woman like myself and my peers and my counterparts and a lot of the listeners, the reason we become single is because as we are out here dating, we're still improving ourselves.
Yes.
We don't stay stagnant. You know, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in 96, so I didn't stay stagnant and say, okay, that's it for me. So I kept getting certifications, licenses, you know, degrees, learning experiences. And then you're meeting people and you're interacting with a lot of men who are looking at you like, what are you trying to prove? Why are you doing all of these things? And how can I fit into your life? Or what I've been told, which is so offensive, you have your own home, you have this, you have that. What do you need me for? And so they look at you as there's a cyclops, like you have an eye in the middle of your forehead, because they think but in essence, what they're saying is, I'm inadequate. I know
Yes.
I'm inadequate to even be talking to you, but I want to be in your life. And so you become a serial dater because most of them in your meeting aren't emotionally available, nor are they emotionally or intellectually equipped to deal with a woman of my pedigree or my caliber, but they'll waste my time and take a lot of my time. And I know that they're not there, but I want to give them an opportunity because I feel like just because you're being called up for the audition and you're scared, it doesn't mean you can't get the part. If you give your whole all in the audition, you might win the role. But what winds up happening is because some of us super achievers happen to also be super attractive, that means you have more opportunities. And so
So,
you have more men coming onto you. And if you're dealing with a lot of men who aren't secure with themselves, they kind of put the blame and the onus on you. Why are you wearing this? Why do you have makeup on? Why are you talking to them? Why are you friendly? Well, my professional life when I'm not in entertainment, which is talking to people, is sales. I worked at Merrill Lynch. I'm in the financial industry. I worked at Sotheby's as a real estate agent. I have to talk to people. That's how I met you, talking. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it's really hurtful because you really, really believe in love and you do want to get married again or at least have a life partner. But a lot of these guys out here, a lot of these men that are my age, they are married like yourself. They are
right.
married, they are coupled up. And if they're not, they've been married 20 years or 15 years and they don't want any part of that. And they use between someone that's in their 20s that isn't going to challenge them to be their best selves. So women like myself wind up kind of in this, you know, purgatory of I'm too good for horrible dudes, but I'm not good enough for the billionaires or millionaires. Like, I don't know. It's like,
Well, let
what
me ask you
happens?
because I think that is such an insight. We talk, and I'm a guy, so I can say it. Dudes are dumb sometimes. We are just don't think things through. A lot of us, a lot of my friends, a lot of people, men, were stunted around growth around like the teenage years, and so we haven't matured. And there's all of that, and there's no excuse for it. It's the reality, which is what you're talking about. And guys are intimidated. We still have a culture where a woman who's more successful, the perception is a woman who's more successful than a man. The man puts it on himself and feels inadequate, like you talked about. And so it's a very big, giant bunch of hurdles you would have to overcome to find a guy who is secure enough, successful enough in his mind, and willing to accept you as you are and not try to change you.
And that is the key because when I've dated millionaires and very successful, accomplished men, they are very arrogant and assholes because They feel like I'm accomplished. They're the Donald Trumps. They're the guys who feel like I've made it. Donald Trump didn't marry a genius. He married a trophy because he felt like, a lot of those guys feel like I already have what I need, I already have what I want. I don't want a woman out here outshining me. I don't want a woman out here competing with, attention. So I just want you to be in the background while I'm in the foreground.
Arm candy.
Right. And I've been that, and I don't like that. I don't like being that. So I had to say it, like professional athletes, professional entertainers, they're the hardest men to date from my experience because they're so cocky, because they have made it. And they want arm candy, even though they don't realize that if they wind up on life support, she's going to tell the doctor the wrong thing and pull the plug because she's not intelligent enough to save their life in a crisis. Or they have dumb kids who can't read at the age of 4, and they don't realize that, hey, it's not just about that she's a size 8 and she's 20 and she has perky breasts, but it's about someone when the lights are out at night that we're compatible and we have a good time and a life mate, because you've been married a long time, that that's what really matters, not whether or not your wife has perky breasts. That's a plus.
Correct. Friendship, relationship, foundation. I feel like it is, relationships are a lot of work, no matter how long you've been married or how short you've been in the relationship. You're still learning how to maneuver through life with another human being. It is a challenge, no matter how I love the people that post how amazing things are all the time. And I'm like, you're lying. It's not like that every day. Stacey wants to kill me 24/7. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, marriage is the hardest thing.
We come back to the foundation. We come back to the fact that I'm not intimidated, and I want somebody I can have a conversation with at the end of the night. I can emote to. I agree with you, but let me ask you, because I know people are going to want to know. So are you 100% no chance on the planet ever you think somebody will come along that you would want to marry again?
Absolutely. I do. I believe marriage. I am a believer. I do believe marriage is a blessing. I do believe God created us to be coupled up. So it is unnatural to live your whole entire life as a single person. I do believe that. Now, whether it's marriage, for me, it's marriage. Some people, it's just partnership, like, Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. That's between them and God, how they choose to do it. I do believe it. It's just, for me, what I notice is so many men, because they feel like they have an infinite amount of time to couple up because their sperm don't run out. You know what I mean? And so they don't.
It's so true. They don't get the little human ticking. What do they call it? Time clocks.
The time clock. I mean, I already have a child and he's an adult, so I'm not looking to have a child. But then that's the dichotomy, because when you're a woman in your 40s and you meet men in their 40s, if they haven't had children, they want a child. And if you meet men younger than you are, because a lot of younger men have been coming on to me, and I've been dating lately some younger men, and it becomes more challenging that way because eventually they're going to want children and a family. And I'm not completely opposed to it, but if I have an adult son, having a child going through labor again is really not on the table. So you see men like, your guy from Star Trek, Scotty, he was 85 when he died and he had a 5-year-old. I feel that that's selfish, but at the same time, men, this is a patriarchal society. So men are selfish in our society. So you'll see men who've never been, I'm meeting men now who are in their late 40s who've never been married, who have no kids.
It didn't used to be the norm. When I meet someone who is of a certain age, I mean, I immediately think, okay, something's up. A dude, I'm talking about, a man. And you wonder what the relationships are like. But now, as you're sharing, maybe they're just serial daters. Is that something a man can be?
Men are that way, but I think it's in a different vein because of the proliferation of pornography in our society. When we were growing up, you had to go somewhere to rent a pornographic video and put it in a VHS if you wanted to see one. Now someone can just click on their phone and watch porn 24/7. So a lot of men today, unfortunately, don't realize that pornographic actress is no different than Meryl Streep. That actress is acting. It's not real. She's not enjoying that. She doesn't want that to happen to her. That's a part of the script. And so they try to reenact these scenarios in their dating lives. And they actually think, I feel like a lot of men are aspiring to pornographic movies as opposed to The Notebook. They're aspiring
I
to
can't
that.
tell you you're 100% wrong there. I agree.
I'm out here. I'm telling you, I'm out here. I'm out here. I'm out here.
So what is that like for you? So serial date, like when you said serial dater, and I read through everything, at first I was like, okay, so this is a cognizant choice. She's realized it, and you've taken, it's your narrative now. Was that a difficult narrative for you to create? Was it a long-term thing? Because it's very important. When you control the narrative, you can talk like you're talking. You know what you want. You've set your parameters, your boundaries, your expectations, whatever you've done, but you're controlling it. Was that a long-term thing, or was that something that just happened overnight because you were tired of it all?
If you would have told me 20 years ago when I got divorced, I'd still be single, I would have said, you're lying. There's no way. I'm too amazing. I cook, I clean, I do it all. There's no way. But what I realized is when I was a single mom for so many years, my focus was on raising a man to be the kind of man I wanted to marry one day. And so unfortunately, a lot of adult men are selfish and they don't want attention taken away from them in the relationship. So I couldn't really focus wholeheartedly on a romantic relationship. Not to say I haven't had boyfriends, but I couldn't give them the full dedication that they may have wanted. And I'm not trying to raise grown men. And a lot of these, I'm going to tell you, I've done the hard work. I've been working on myself since I was 14 years old. A lot of these men are broken little boys, they're baby boys. They don't have their crap together emotionally. And then they come to you and want you to fix them. And so a lot of them are deceptive. They cheat, they lie. A lot of them out here are married and have girlfriends, have situationships, and they're on these dating sites. So they're in the club and they're presenting themselves as single when they're not. And when they should, tell you up front, hey, I'm in a relationship, and let a person make an honest decision. Then you have a lot of men out here, unfortunately, they're bisexual or gay, and they're deceptive about that as well. So I have to navigate down low brothers, baby boys. I have to make sure I'm not meeting serial killers or rapists in between, because that's a possibility.
You can't make that up. It scares me for anybody who's in the dating world right now, because it's a very crazy place to maneuver through. And those dating sites, I've seen way too many Law and Order SVUs or Criminal Minds to know that they can be very, very scary. But it's one thing, I have to ask you, it's one thing to determine that, to really take the narrative back and the story back. It's another thing to create a book. So what was that like? Was this cathartic for you? Did it start out that way? Or did you just decide, I got to let everybody else know because apparently no one understands what's going on?
Well, at the time I started writing the book in my mind, it was 20 years ago. But when I actually put pen to paper, I was in a relationship living with someone 14 years younger than myself. And I knew it wasn't going to work. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, here I go again. I was going through the motions, but I was like, and it was ironic because he was pushing me and motivating me to write a book about everything I went through. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, you're going to be in it. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. And so I didn't think I would be here 20 years later. I'm not saying I haven't had marriage proposals. Of course I have. I'm not saying I haven't had men want to wife me up. Of course I have. But I could see the older you get, the wiser you get, you realize this isn't a recipe for a long-term relationship. You see something in me, because what I notice is when you're super achiever, what happens is men aren't attracted to you. They're attracted to how you make them feel. or how
Yes.
you make them look. So when they go places and someone says, "Oh, your girlfriend's so beautiful," and "Oh, she's so smart," and they love accolades, but then they actually have to go home and put on the overalls and rub her back when her period's on and make her feel better when she's crying because she saw a commercial and it doesn't make sense why she's crying, or she's pissed off because at work somebody tried to touch her hair without her permission, and you're like, "What are you so upset about?" So the hard work actually comes when you're in a day-to-day relationship. And I've actually had men say things to me like, "You actually cry?" Because I'm so strong. And I'm like, "I have tear ducts, you idiot. Of course I cry." You know what I mean? And so they portray me as I'm so impervious that I can't possibly be tender and gentle. It's like they won't let women be three-dimensional. You're either a bitch or not. You know what I mean? And if you're a bitch in their mind, there's no way you could be lovable or consider to be submissive to a man. And I'm not going to be submissive to any man, but I'll be submissive to my husband, but not to every joker I go on a date with. So it's really hard because of pornography and because of these hookup sites that I won't participate, like Tinder and Match.com. I'm not on any of those. There's so much hookup in this culture. There's a hookup culture. So many women are giving it away for no reason that men don't feel like they have to really work towards something with a woman like me long term. So if they can have sex 365 days out of the year with 365 different women without effort of any kind, why come here with a woman who's intelligent, who's got her own opinion, who may debate you, who may argue?
You might challenge him, God forbid.
Oh,
It's interesting because I 100% you're on, in my opinion, on point on everything. And it is I'm grateful I'm not in it, and it's very sad to watch because there are lonely people. There are guys who will come back and say, well, girls only want bad boys, and there are those kinds of relationships, but in general I have found that it is the guy who is just not in the right place for whatever reason, came to you broken. There's so many. There is a rash of it out there. It's epidemic, and
well,
so
that's why I
I
wrote the
feel
book
for
to
you.
explain. That's why I wrote the book, because so many women feel like something's wrong with us. And society is telling us something's wrong with us. And there's nothing wrong with us. It's that society is changing at such an accelerated pace that dating has not kept up. So you have men who are told they're men by having multiple conquests, multiple body bags. And women are still told good girls don't. You're supposed to wait. You're not supposed to be as sexual as men are. And then how do we get together? How do we come together on one accord when men are being told one narrative, women are being told another narrative, and you have fewer men going to college. You have more women going to college, more women improving ourselves, not because we're trying to outpace men, because for so long we weren't given the opportunity. So now that the opportunities present themselves, we want to take the bull by the horn. But then you have men who are I feel like a lot of men are getting lazy and, kind of apathetic and saying, "Hey, I have a penis. That's all I need. All I need is a penis. That's it."
I think you are 100% right. The opportunity has never been better for guys, honestly. If that is the world you live in and that is your approach, you have everything basic. It's almost like Uber for this. You have everything at your fingertips, and it's going to get delivered in one way, shape, or form. And if this one isn't delivered right, well, then the next one is delivered right. All right, before we have to close, because we're way past time. I told you we'd go past.
That's fine.
Tell us, and I'd love for you to come back, because I think there's a lot in your book and a lot that you have to offer.
Yes.
I would love for you to come back and do a part 2 or part 3 of this.
I would love to. Even
your energy is just absolutely amazing. And I know this is a topic because we had a lot of people on messaging me while you were talking. Tell them how they find you. What's the best way until we bring Gloria back? What's the best way for them to reach you?
The best way to reach me is I am on Twitter under my stage name, REDG, with PHATREDG. You can listen to my music on reverbnation.com /Reggie. I'm also on Instagram under my by given name, Gloria Joyner. On Instagram, I'm also on Facebook, but I'm at capacity with my friends on Facebook. I also have a Super Achiever Serial Dater page on Facebook, as well as an artist page on Facebook, Red G. But my books can be bought on Amazon.com as well as Kindle. If you're a Kindle, if you have a tablet and you want an electronic form, it is on Kindle. And I'm just trying to explain to all the women out here who feel like, what is wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. It's the world. It's crazy. It's not us. It's them.
Love it. You're a joy. Thank you so much. I really do want to have you come back. I think what you do is absolutely awesome. I love your energy. Thank you, Gloria. Thanks for sharing your journey too. I guarantee you touched a lot of people today and certainly got some guys thinking. Let's hope so. All right, Gloria Joyner, thank you. Mwah. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks.